Hello, I'm going to teach today on Matthew 14. And I got some special surprises. I do want to let you know that for the last part of it, your minister will be playing the position of Peter. But let's start with the beginning of chapter 14 before we get to that part. Okay, at this time, Herod, the tetrarch, had been hearing the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants that this is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead. That's why miraculous powers are at work in him. Well, Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of his brother Philip's wife. John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." His brother Philip's name's wife is Herodes. So I-A-S on the end of Herod. So it's Herodes. I think that's how you say it. Now Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. Now, Herod's birthday came round, and the daughter of Herodes danced and pleased Herod, so he promised her an oath to give her whatever she wanted. And I'm going to read that part from here. The king was, prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guests, he ordered that her request be granted, and John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought on a platter and given to the girl who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. They then went and told Jesus. So after Jesus heard this, he privately went to a solitary place by boat, and the people from towns followed him on foot. And when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion and healed their sick. Well, evening approached, and his disciples said to send them away to go get food to the villages. And Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." Well, we only have 5 loaves of bread, 1 loaf, 2 loaves, 3 loaves, 4 loaves, and 5 loaves of bread, and 1 fish, and 2 fish. And if you can't tell that these are fish, you can write your minister a note. He's the one that drew the fish. We got bread one all over up here. He said, "Bring them to me," he said, and he directed the people to sit down on the grass. All of you who are here may sit down on the grass, on the ground, chairs, whatever. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks, and he broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And then the disciples went and picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate, about 5,000 men, besides women and children. So there were 5,000 ate, and then there were men and children on top of that. How many of you wish that you could walk on water? Well, I can't walk on water. My husband can't walk on water. I'd like to do it, but I know Jesus can do it. So, Jesus told his disciples to go into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd of people. And after he dismissed them, he went up to the mountains by himself to pray. And then when evening came, he was there alone. But the boat was already a considerable distance from land. It was pushed away by the waves because the wind was against it. And during the fourth watch that night, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. And when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they thought he was a ghost, and they were terrified. But Jesus said, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter said to God if it was him to let him walk on the water to him. Peter, come up here. I need your help, Peter. Come on, Peter. Peter can walk faster than that. Stand on my water spot there that I made for you. Okay. You are on the water and you came towards Jesus, but you saw the wind and you were afraid and you began to sink. So bring the water up some. Cry out, "Lord, save me."
Huh?
Say, "Lord, save me."
Lord, save me.
Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" Okay, Peter, I take my water. You can go back to sitting down. You may return to your seat. Please don't take my speaker with you. And they climbed into the boat, and the wind died down. And those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." Okay, next part. When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret, I guess. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched him were healed. Now that's the end of chapter 14, but we're going to talk a little bit about 15 before next week. So, I'm going to have I can't speak. I'm going to have a special surprise. It talks about more than 5 loaves of bread, so I got to make more bread. And I got to make, well, your minister's got to make some more fish for me.
Oh.
But anyway, we're going to hear Jesus talk about, or teach about inner purity next week. He's also going to send a demon out of a girl. He's going to heal many people. So, if you want to read ahead, you can. If you don't have a Bible but would like one, we can send one to you. Where's your...
Sorry.
We can send you a Bible, a pamphlet, pen, or we can send you just a Bible, just pamphlet, just a pen, and there's stuff inside the pamphlet, goodies. If you are like me, or your minister and can't read small print, we can send you a large print Bible too. And if you want to read ahead and understand what we will be discussing next week, you may do so. I have some little things here on the bottom. When Jesus fed the 5,000, it occurred on the shores of the Sea of Galilee near Bethesda. And then Jesus then sent his disciples across the lake. Several hours later, they encountered a storm, and Jesus came to them, walking on the water. The boat then landed at Gennesaret. If you want to know where Gennesaret is, it's across the Sea of Galilee, just underneath Capernaum. And it looks like it's between Galilee and Samaria. When I read 14:23, which was when Jesus went to pray, seeking solitude was an important priority for Jesus. He made room in his busy schedule to be alone with the Father. Spending time with God in prayer nurtures a vital relationship and equips us to meet life's challenges and struggles. Develop the discipline of spending time alone with God. It will help you grow spiritually and become more and more like Christ. Now, when Peter went out onto the water, Peter was not putting Jesus to the test, something we told not to do. Instead, he was the only one in the boat to react in faith. His impulsive request led him to experience a rather unusual demonstration of God's power. Peter started to sink because he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the high waves around him. His faith wavered when he realized what happened or what he was doing. We may not walk on water, but we do walk through tough situations. If we focus on the waves of difficult circumstances around us without looking to Jesus for help, we too may despair and sink. To maintain your faith when situations are difficult, keep your eyes on Jesus' power rather than on your inadequacies. And then when we were talking about Jesus was saying, why did you doubt? And it says, although we start out with good intentions, sometimes our faith falters. This doesn't necessarily mean we have failed. When Peter's faith failed, he reached out to Christ, the only one who could help. He was afraid, but he still looked to Christ. When you are apprehensive about the troubles around you and doubt Christ's presence or ability to help, you must remember that he's the only one who can really help. Well, here's what Gennesaret is. It was located on the west side of the Sea of Galilee in a fertile, well-watered area. So, that was that part. In 14:14, which was when I was talking about Jesus landed and saw the large crowd and had compassion and healed the people, the sick, Jesus performed some miracles as signs of his identity. He used other miracles to teach important truths. But here we read that he healed people because he had compassion on them. Jesus was and is a loving, caring, and feeling person. When you are suffering, remember that Jesus hurts with you. He has compassion on you. Here's a little thing about the bread and the fish, and then I will close off unless your minister has something to say. Jesus multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed over 5,000 people. What he was originally given seemed insufficient, but in his hands it became more than enough. We often feel that our contribution to Jesus is meager, but he can see and multiply whatever we give him, whether it is talent, time, or treasure. It is when we give them to Jesus that our resources are multiplied. The text states that there were 5,000 men present, besides women and children. Therefore, the total number of people Jesus had fed could have been 10 to 15,000. The number of men is listed separately because in the Jewish culture of the day, men and women usually ate separately when in public, and the children ate with women. So I hope you learned some things with those tidbits I gave you. Mr. Preacher Boy, you ain't got anything to say to the people? Mr. Preacher. Come on up here and talk to the people today.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Well, we're in between the week, and so I say happy because it's almost the end of my work week.
Hump day.
Yeah, hump day. Sunday, I'm gonna be speaking on what the Lord is putting in my heart. I'm not gonna tell anybody what it is, not even my wife. She won't find out not until I even start speaking on it. So she's gonna be guessing just along with the rest of everybody else.
Tell me about me.
It might be about some of the current stuff we've been studying on. It might be on something different. But once again, it all depends on what the good Lord puts inside my heart to speak about. But just know this. Know the current age that we're living in. Relate Scripture to the news, especially Middle Eastern news. A lot has fulfilled, and we still have a lot of prophecy to fulfill. So it's not a scary thing for believers, for Christians. For the unbeliever or for the lukewarm Christian, I would say most likely. To make a long story short, because I got to get off here and upload. But lukewarm means that you love God 1 minute and you're happy and you're peace at heart, and you're upstairs or you're downstairs looking at porn or drinking or shooting up drugs or something the next minute. It says in Scripture, you cannot serve two masters. You either love one or despise the other.
But can't you drink and not be serving two masters? Can't you go out and have a beer or two with some friends or something?
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm talking about like getting drunk to the point of like making it a daily thing. So really, that's all I got without spoiling it for y'all.
I'm gonna be teaching on peace.
Okay, well you can come up here and tell me.
Sure.
Until next week, really, that's all I got. We're using this part of the church for our Bible study right now until I can figure something else out. We was using it over there, and I didn't like how it looked. So I'm either going to try to figure out something here or something else different. But Chris has got something to say, or she don't have anything to say. So till Sunday, I guess everybody take care, be safe, and God bless.